Yeah, so
Glory to God.
We went through all the movements of the praise and worship movements of the 80s. We would do the one-step bunny hops.
Just throw one leg out, one leg back. There it is. That's all you got to do.
3, 2, and 1. Here we go. Part 2 of Table Talk with Tyler Trent, D. Darren Penley or Lee.
Yes, sir.
Penley. I've called you Pen Lee forever.
Whatever, sir.
Which is it though?
It's Pen, not Pin.
Pen.
It's E instead of I.
Penley.
Penley. Yep.
Penley.
There's an actual Penley in England. It's a village in England where my last name comes from.
Penley. You from Penley?
Yeah, there's a Penley, England.
That's cool.
If I go there, I'm throwing my weight around like nobody's business.
He has returned.
I have returned to the Penley village to claim my birthright.
Behold,
I am Darren L. Penley. Your village bears my name.
He's back.
Oh, man.
We've been waiting for you.
Where's my Hossenpfeffer?
You're finally back. Your kingdom awaits.
Are we started yet? Oh, we're on. Wow.
We're rolling.
That was the intro.
We kind of stopped right around the early 80s.
Yeah, the turn of the decade.
Yes.
The 80s, man. The 80s.
And how can you forget, though, the amazing charismatic movement that began, really, kind of the Jesus movement, the music there.
Yes.
Moving on up into the 80s. That reminded me of that in 1980, that Phil Keaggy live album there in, forget where it was, Chicago, at that Wheaton College up in there. You could feel that though on it, and that show something different.
There was something on that era.
Even he was speaking about things, you know.
It was blessed, I think is the word you'd use.
Yeah.
I would use is just blessed.
If we can, I'll give Ian some pictures of the tent. It's about that time of 1981, 82, 83. Started having good old fashion, but they weren't old-fashioned in a way. Kind of had that 80s modern movement, charismatic movement.
That was the heyday of
big part of my life
movement.
in the long run. Even though I was trying to be the prodigal during that time, it just still was affecting my life. I don't know how you can, because there was something tangible about it.
That was the opposite
in your face touch.
We're a little bit separated in age, and when you were starting to run, that's when I was really starting to kind of get it as a kid.
Oh, that's cool.
And so that whole movement was really special to me because I was, I don't know, what would I be, like 10 or so? So I was just, man, I was wide-eyed and paying attention. And you know it was blessed because the music was like polka music. So, you know what I mean?
It's different.
Yeah.
I would never miss it.
I will enter the gates, but
we would hear about it at Open Bible.
Well,
we would hear about Christ Life of the Valley tent meetings. And there would be hundreds of people in those tent meetings.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't miss them.
They were packed, spilling out the back. They would spill out the back into the grass.
And we hadn't seen each other for a long time. And that's when we reconnected in 1984.
Do you remember who because you would come with friends?
Yes.
It was never just you.
Nope. I'd bring everybody I could.
Who it was that would come with you during that time?
It was usually, it was a man.
Was it Paul?
Paul Floyd, my old friend Paul Floyd. Dan Salyer. Dan ended up, he was a friend of Jack and Kathy Kemper, who was my initial formative years in the Lord. That was one of their friends that lived with him. He became like one of my friends that helped me, and he would bring me. He eventually ended up going to Christ Life. He was a member, so I come here with them and go to Open Bible with Kathy and Jack. So,
but I remember ever so often during that time in the tent.
Yeah, I was there.
You'd be there with a couple of your friends there,
and
Bible in hand, man.
Bible in hand.
Man, we never went anywhere without our Bibles too.
Yeah.
Another early memory, just one quick one, was in 1980 when out of nowhere we went to a thing called Washington for Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
and it was massive.
I
My
ran
grandma
into
went to
you.
that.
And
there.
out of 500, there was almost a half a million people
No,
there.
That was the
And I have a
craziest
picture to
thing.
this day. I have it at home in my old wallet. I still have it. I should bring it in.
Did you ride the bus that left from here?
I don't
No,
know.
he didn't go
I
with
went
our
with Open
group.
Bible.
He
Okay.
went with a whole different group.
And
Gotcha.
they were walking, and everybody's walking. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Jeff starts walking toward me. And somebody took a picture of.
Oh my gosh, I'd
I
love
was
to
like,
see
hey,
that.
Jeff, what's up, man? Then we just walked right past each other. There's 500,000
Ships
people.
in the night.
Right. That was another little quick
Wow.
thing. A little
I
quick
remember my
connection.
grandma went, and we put her on the bus here.
That was
the other
crazy.
side.
You
and-
know,
and bid
what
them all
was that?
farewell.
What was
Yep.
the group?
It was a big deal.
Oh, the kind of rap group, and they sang at the same time. What was there back in the day?
Take 5?
No,
The rap and sang?
no, he's still around today. The kid who did the rapping.
Secular or what?
They played there like that was their first time.
DC Talk?
DC Talk.
Really? What was he, 7?
Really? In the early
It
80s?
seems like it was close back in that time.
I saw them at
Is that too
Memorial
early?
Hall.
That might be too early.
That
No,
might,
Jesus
there
freak
are.
that might
tour.
be too early for them because was Toby Mac in DC Talk?
Yeah.
Toby Mac, who I'm
Toby
thinking of.
Mac.
Yeah, he'd have to be like
He was
he'd have
4.
to been like 10 years old.
We
then.
went. It was later.
Yeah.
There was 2
My
marches.
way people
It was the
shave
second one. That wasn't
Yeah.
that one.
No,
So
but
it
I
was
know they're
80. Then
talking
it was
about,
another one a few years later.
There was a big group there though.
They had
for sure.
I don't know who
in
it
there
was.
Washington.
I didn't
I
get
don't
it.
remember, but I just wanted to tell you that one.
Was there
I
a million
remember that.
people
Half
at
a
that
million.
one? 500,000.
Half a mil.
Has there been million marches? There have,
Yes.
right?
But
That's amazing.
Early 80s, though, I know one thing the three of us have in common.
Go.
That's very near and very dear to our heart
Say
as
it.
far as being influenced
Do it.
80s musically is
Drop
a
it.
gentleman named Phil Kagi.
Oh, Phil.
Oh, Phil. And
Who
those
I'm his
records-
biggest fan.
No, I was his biggest fan.
You know, I did
met
not.
him at the Taft Theater in Cincinnati, and he told me as a kid
Yeah.
that I was
Well,
his
Darren
biggest
was actually in the car with Phil Kagi.
Oh, we're going to get
Yeah,
there.
You got
drove
the
him
closest.
around.
We're going to
You're
get
gonna
there.
No,
Because I'm
but-
going to trump all
but
stories.
Jeff mentioned him earlier that listened to a live concert in like 80 from Wheaton College. There was something about Phil and his music that just you could instantly connect with. Just this innocence, but at the same time, still had some teeth to it because he's like the raddest guitarist ever.
Yeah.
And that Paul McCartney voice and just I don't know, just a really. And I was allowed to listen to him. I wasn't allowed to listen to much music, so.
This was 84, 85 when I first started listening to him, so it was all back catalog. I'd started playing guitar, and then I was drawn to him. And at that time, I was only Christian, doing my best. That was my commitment then.
Yes.
And
I remember.
and trying to sift through it, and but still being drawn in. And then going to see him at
King's Place.
King's Place the first time.
Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio. And I remember one of the girls who was there with our group, I think it was a youth group thing, when he did Little Ones.
Who's
And she just started
looking
crying because he
for the
told us,
little ones?
he started telling his story, you know, how
Yeah.
he had lost, you know. So,
Ryan.
yeah.
Little Ryan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But just the playing, you know, the tapping and the
Salvation
he
Army
was
Band.
looping.
Well, and the
things back
story
then.
goes to the infamous story. The urban legend was that Jimi Hendrix was asked what it felt like to be the greatest guitarist in the world. And he said,
Go ask Phil Kagi.
Yeah.
We love to tell that
Which
story.
I
We're
love
going,
to
we're
tell
going to
that
take it to
story.
our graves that that's what
True
he
or not,
meant.
we love
True
to
or
tell
not,
it.
it's going to be that.
I'm going to have to play you a video of Phil answering that question.
Yeah, he says it wasn't
Oh, he says
true.
no.
He says it's not.
I love it. I'm not saying
Everybody's
that.
like, boo.
Well, we've seen Phil so many times.
But he did get to play with Paul McCartney at a wedding, right?
Yes, at a
That is
wedding.
true.
How
Yeah,
that happened, that was amazing.
Because he did the music for the wedding. So
Yeah.
somehow that connection.
But
there.
he was
It's his
just one
wife.
of this huge explosion of Christian music in the 80s. That
forefront of contemporary Christian
yeah,
music at
but
that
it was
time.
so much. I call them the blue tapes, the Sparrow Records.
Sparrow
Russ
Records.
Taff and Steve Taylor.
What was
and
on the Sparrow?
Brian Duncan. Remember him?
All those guys. But there was so much, and it was good. Amy Grant even for that matter,
Yes.
I think.
You did biggest fan to Phil in Tulsa.
In Tulsa, Oklahoma in
Because
1985.
he just happened to be
He
walking
was with
right
Russ
towards
Taft.
us.
He was doing
Russ
the medals. The medals.
no
Remember, we had no
medals.
medals. Russ Taft
It's a good
did,
record.
and they were out on this big stage in the middle of a lake or something.
Yeah.
And Phil was coming down this runway,
Just
and he was
walking.
coming right toward
It
me.
was a shock for us because it's like, that can't be him.
That can't be him. And he walked right up to me, and I was not going to miss this opportunity to make sure he. And
He
you know,
knew
and I,
who
you know
you
me,
were.
and I was so shy. But anyway, I
You
ran
got
up
right
to
in
him
his
like
face.
a lunatic. I was like,
I remember he looked
Phil!
He looked scared.
he was right next to me. This is 1985.
He looked scared.
He backed
Thank
up
you.
like this. I was like, Phil, I'm your biggest fan, Phil. And he's like,
And that's when I loved when I got to go with you to see Striper.
1986, Tulsa, Oklahoma,
You were the
downtown.
loudest,
To
craziest.
Hell
Son of a
with the
gun.
Devil tour.
They were throwing Bibles out into
Throwing
the
Bibles,
crowd.
and I
You
was,
sure that was To Hell with the Devil?
I don't know, but it's,
It
no,
might have been
Soldiers
the yellow,
Under
black,
Command.
and yeah, well, yeah.
It was
And
their
here's the only
first-
reason why I asked
Oh.
that, because Jeff and I share the same experience, because I got to go see Striper with you here in Dayton.
Dayton, Ohio,
and that
baby.
was To Hell with the Devil tour.
Oh, so
I
you
did
got
Soldiers
the same
Under
experience.
Command. We did To Hell with the
we
Devil.
went together.
Where was that?
And what was the best part about it is the two opening acts were not Christian. It was Loudness, which was a Japanese metal
The
band,
Japanese
metal
and
band,
yeah.
TNT.
TNT, and people
And
were like
can we
booing.
cuss on- we shouldn't cuss on this podcast, should we? But
But they were cussing,
the
MFing.
first band was
Yes.
like the Japanese band was says we come from Japan to rock your ASS.
Yeah.
That was the first line
Like, okay,
of the
let's
concert.
go.
And there was a guy in front of us. And it's a weird name, but I swear his name was Thermidor. I'm probably
Thermidor?
making
Would
that
you
up.
even remember
Thermidor. He had
Thermidor.
long red hair.
that? Thermidor.
This guy, you talk about conviction, and bless him for it. I admire his conviction. He stood on his chair for 2 solid hours with his thumbs down.
Down with his thumbs
During
down.
the secular
I remember,
act. Remember
dude,
that?
Yeah, with the thumbs
Thumbs down.
The whole
he was
time.
not having it.
no
not having
grace, no love.
He was
What's
not
up with
having it
that?
for Loudness and TNT. And the TNT guy had the guitar solo with the magic wand and the 7 guitars. He he'd go up and do a little lick on one of them, and then go to the next guitar. And then he
Yes.
would back up with his magic wand and go. And they'd all
What
play
an
one by one.
amazing night that Tyler and I
Very-
have been to the best concerts together
We saw
ever.
Rush together,
With
Roll Them Bones,
Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson, Alien
When was
Fingers,
Roll Them
Eric.
Bones? What year was that?
That was who knows?
86-ish?
86.
88, something like that.
That was
But the pièce de résistance
Yes.
was I slept on a sidewalk
Yes, sir.
for 18 hours.
Hair Arena.
No, it was Blockbuster Video in Centerville. I slept on a sidewalk for 18 hours for Zoo TV tickets.
Yes.
At the time, it was like, I think it may have been the fastest selling tour. It sold out in like 8 minutes.
And you barely, and the
like
people
two
behind
people
you.
behind me didn't get tickets.
Wow.
And I have proof for it because Darren and I were like in the top row behind one of those hanging cars. We couldn't even see the band.
You couldn't see the
We were
band.
like behind the German
It was in
hanging little
Cleveland.
car.
Wasn't it? It was in
It was
Cleveland.
in Cleveland, Rich Coliseum.
So, yeah, we were 2. It was with my sister, Marla.
Did I get us 3 tickets?
No, 4.
4, okay.
And another person. But it was you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the secret there?
It's no,
Water
need.
under the bridge.
But it's still
Water under the bridge.
lingers
So,
that
but anyway,
much longer.
we were second from the top row for the best concert.
Yeah.
Somebody else.
And
With
I-
somebody else.
And it,
I got to be honest, I love you too. I still love you
Yes.
too. But I don't know if I would have slept on a sidewalk if the Pixies weren't opening.
Pixies opened for
Pixies
them.
opened,
That's
and they're
right.
like one of my all-time favorite bands.
That was
I remember I
awesome,
brought a Pixie
man.
shirt. I wish I still had it.
Yep.
But I remember they sounded so awful, and we were like, oh man,
Right.
these tickets were so expensive. They were so hard to get. This sounds so wretched. And then U2 came on. And it was like crystal perfect.
Whole different
Listening to a
sound system.
CD,
Yeah.
Perfect.
Whole different Like
Probably they had some
gave
Do you
the
remember the
Pixies
last song they played?
Is it Acrobat?
Love is Blindness.
Love is Blindness.
They
Close.
turned the lights up, and Love is Blindness, and man, I was done. It was amazing.
Yeah,
That was
two of my
great.
favorite concerts ever were at Rich.
Yep.
I saw The Cure there too. Two amazing shows.
Influence.
And then you saw, how many times have you seen U2? Because then me, you, Jason,
Jason got
We're
us tickets.
at Cleveland. Not that one, before. You don't remember
Yes.
it. Where they play basketball.
Right.
At the Q?
Wow.
What was that one, Jason?
Quicken Loons?
Jay, what was that U2 concert we saw in Cleveland?
Atomic Bomb?
We saw them twice in Cleveland. Once with
How to Dismantle?
man.
Yeah, I
And
was
then
gone for
all of
that.
us together, all four of us, right?
Yeah, and then Jeff surprised us and bought us all his treat. He bought us all tickets to see them at the AFC team who shall not be named stadium in Pittsburgh. Heinzfield.
Heinzfield.
Yeah,
With
for
the Joshua Tree,
What a-
25th, 30th anniversary, whatever it was.
production.
It was unreal.
With the rainbow and
Unreal. Thank you for that, by the
Yeah.
way.
came out.
Thank you, Jason, for taking us to
I
Rock and
didn't
Roll
know
Hall
I
of
bought
Fame.
them. I did.
And you bought them for us, and I got the best picture of Darren looking like a curmudgeon in front of the Steelers logo.
Yeah, I was not happy with that night.
As a lifelong
Cleveland Browns fan.
self-deprecating
Yes. We won't get into that.
sadomasochistic Browns fan.
It hurts. It hurts me.
Oh, man.
But those influences, I think, were our mainstays.
I
And
liked
for me,
U2.
the
I
80s
remember.
The 80s too was
Waited patiently for the Lord.
40.
I was like, this is awesome that this group
Yeah.
is popular.
I remember that tension in the
Where they had
80s
that.
between Christian music and non-Christian music. You know what I mean?
It's not as
And you two kind of bridged that gap for some,
Yeah.
and some are like, no way.
Because after
But
October,
there
we
was
all thought
such a
that was...
line
Yeah.
in the sand in the 80s with that
it's
stuff.
not so
Right.
much anymore.
We were backward masking
Yeah,
sermons
we kinda
were
was
big
that
back
time.
then,
Backward
too.
masking, picking on album art, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it wasn't just that. It was also the Christian music, because I still listen to it. I love it, man. Steve Taylor and Petra and Daniel Amos. I listen to stuff all the time.
They had their own sound.
They had their own sound, but their lyrics were intense.
Very
Like,
intense.
they were very convicted.
Right.
Preaching.
We're gonna come against sin here, and we're gonna call stuff out, and
nobody did that
not hold any
better.
punches.
It still kind of has that had that Jesus movement. Even Bob Dylan was a part of that at one
And
point.
it wasn't negative or condemning.
No.
It just was like in your face, bold. This is what we believe, and we're gonna
Right.
sing about it.
It wasn't as much like now. Praise and worship has become
Popular. Pop, Christian
then
pop. Mhm.
they were doing lyrics to this conviction and that conviction.
Yeah,
A little bit different than how it turned out with that.
totally.
So Phil Keaggy probably is all of ours first real influence in that sense, right?
I
Would
would-
you think? Was there another one to you?
I would
was for
say my
me-
not bigger, but as big was Keith
I
Green.
was gonna say.
Yeah.
Keith Green was
yeah.
a big influence.
I
and
was too young. I missed out on. Keith
I can still
Green.
remember when he passed. I was at Camp Calvary.
I was
and
driving my mom
the
home.
Lead-
That is so weird that you say that. I remember I was
I can
driving my
remember when he
mom.
passed, and I didn't even listen to him.
Right. I was driving my mom home from work, and I drove her to work. I was driving home from dropping her off at work. I pulled in, and I heard WING, Wing AM,
Yeah.
evangelical musician Keith Green dies in an airplane accident in Lindale, Texas. And I was like, what? And I sat in my car for about 45 minutes just crying my eyes out.
I remember it because the minister
Unbelievable.
at the camp started crying.
Well, he left an indelible impression. Keith Green did. I will always mention him because his for those who have ears to hear, I can remember
He
Keith
was
Green's
prophetic.
finger.
There
he
was
was
a very
he was a prophetic kind
deal
of
on
dude. He
that.
was
Absolutely.
you know,
know-
Oh Lord, You're Beautiful, Sheep and the Goats. All of those songs, they were formative, along with Phil
what was his,
Keaggy and with
what was
Keith
his
Green.
what was his Easter song? That was
Easter song.
incredible.
That's it. That was what I was
His is almost like
Ring
he's
the bells
alive.
ringing now,
Oh,
singing,
Don
you
Francisco.
must Be born again.
That's another classic.
Keith Green.
Yeah, it's amazing when
Keith
you hear
Green.
that. I was
Thank you,
Keith.
Keith.
Actually at a pastor's conference when Prince died. And that was bizarre.
Wow.
They were in between sessions, and they announced that had happened. And it was a catalyst.
See, like where were you?
Yeah, totally.
Type deal. Keith Green, Phil
But
Keggy.
in the 80s, too, with all these influences and everything, the three of us actually ended up playing together.
We did. We did our band for a little bit there.
The Keep.
The Keep.
We, Jeff.
More than anything, we just practice all the time.
We started,
That's what we did more than anything.
well,
And we're the youth group band.
We did do that. We did the
yeah,
Christian songs.
you guys were more the church band, the youth group band.
Yeah.
Jeff and I started with John
Yeah.
back in '85 in a garage, and
Yes.
just getting together and just jamming. And
That
I
was
didn't know
so
how to
good. That
play.
was fun.
I didn't know nothing.
That was wonderful. You just were a natural.
I
I
was
bet
just-
you could get up there right now and start playing.
I
Yes,
could.
you could. Absolutely.
I bet
No,
you
but
could.
Tyler ended up being the drummer, and I was like the guy that was egging you guys on because he was obviously the drummer. But it was fun because we were doing a lot of spontaneous stuff to start off
yeah.
with, and I still have a tape of us practicing in a janitor's closet in
That was
1985
in Tulsa. I
in
think.
Tulsa. Oh no, 87 in 1987, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I still have the tape of us practicing.
A couple songs I can remember in my head. When we recorded in not Cro-Magnon. What was the other one?
Rephrase?
Wasn't Rephrase. It
We
was
did
one
one at Rephrase, and then the other one down by the Daybell Theater.
Yeah, it was the big factory
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, that was the one we went into the cargo elevator, and the dude let me use his drums for Flame of Fire.
Yeah. No, we did.
Flame of Fire was at Rephrase.
No, that
Was it
Flame
Rephrase?
of Fire was Rephrase. We did their.
What did we do there?
We did that marching.
Oh yeah,
deal.
yeah. You kept. Jeff was always on me to do marching stuff because he loved marching jams.
At the end, we just started. We were trying to do that.
and we were always built. We were always
the lyrics
built.
are right in the top of my head.
What was
Right
that?
there.
I don't remember, but we did another one after
You
that.
can see him in the song. You can feel him in there.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
Glory, glory.
Wow, dude.
Glory.
Wow. I remember we were.
I can remember that.
Well, we practiced that song right there
Glory.
in that
And
room.
we built it totally up to a big deal. Yeah.
We were practicing that song up in that where the kids are now, like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember I was doing all that stuff because you know me. I just got up and started running. Just started running around because I
still
felt
had
it.
that charismatic.
It was the charismatic jam.
Some gets on you, gets on it.
And when I would run,
Yeah.
I remember at Open Bible, they would run our music. Music was such a
We had T-shirts.
moving thing to us.
And we never even did anything.
Yeah, I still
So-
have one at home.
Do you still have it?
I do.
I have
I'd
two.
on
love
it.
take a picture of the
Got
font.
the world on it, yeah.
I'd like to see the font on it
It's a cool font, actually.
Yeah.
from back.
And there
in
was
that time.
actually a band called The Keep.
I'm
There
sure.
was.
There was another one, we ripped them off.
I didn't no
we
idea.
had
That was
no
in
idea.
Psalms.
Yeah. Castle on the
Out of
Keep.
Psalm, I forget exactly
I
where
always
the
think of that.
passage is
I don't know
now.
if it's town to town or flip side, but there's a in your keep. Keggy's
And we
got it
still
in
have
your
a
keep.
picture. I think your mom has our band picture.
I have it.
You do? Do you still have the dude
But
the
it's
keyboard dude in
Tulsa.
Tulsa?
No.
You don't have that one with our hair?
Yeah.
With the Duran Duran hair?
I have us three with it, but we're in the apartment.
We are?
We're
Oh,
not
that's-
at
I
that-
have that one.
We're not at the office.
But what
Oh
happened
yeah,
to
we had a big one.
we had the big one, the promo that we'd send out to nobody.
It's amazing. We never did one show.
We did one thing. I remember I got you guys. This is after Tyler started taking over drums, and I was like egging
What
you
was
guys
the one
on.
where we did dun, 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 dun,
We were
dun,
at-
dun, 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 dun.
We're at Open
Tightrope?
Bible.
Tightrope. Walking
Open
on
Bible,
a tight-
dude.
Oh, we did Open Bibles.
Right.
Youth revival.
Right. I got you guys in there,
And
bro.
there was a deal
was-
that happened there
I was
too.
gonna be
It was
the
pretty
manager.
Manager, huh?
But it was fun times. That was a lot of
Walking on a tightrope, smiling.
right.
Looking
that's a
out
catchy
with
song.
eyes of faith. Walking on a tightrope.
That was a catchy song.
Those are fun times.
Living life in the eyes of grace.
How do you remember that?
I have no idea.
I think I still have your
I
written
have
lyrics.
no
And
idea.
There's it's called Tightrope, and
It's
your
like
written
a
lyrics.
miracle.
I should bring them out and show you.
Ba, ba, ba. Ba,
Dun,
ba,
dun,
ba.
dun. Wow. That makes me nervous to think of how horrible I was at that. But it was again, it was an innocent thing, and we loved
was.
it.
I
loved it. It
see.
was worship.
Yeah, it was
To
wonderful.
me.
Did a lot of
I
the
wonder if
worship
that's
too.
why there's so much in popular culture right now. There's so much kind of 80s, they're drawn on the 80s so much. I wonder if it's like almost like this yearning for that innocence.
Could be.
Because it was just so goofy. The parachute pants and the... You know what I mean? Everything about the 80s just had this kind of almost innocence goof to it. Like
80s for me was
And a lot of colorful shirts.
99, no red balloons. Da, 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 da. That's when it started for me, the MTV video.
Very first
A radio
MTV.
killed the video star.
The very first MTV video I ever saw was U2's "I Will Follow," and I looked at the TV and looked at my friend who was sitting with me. I said, "Man, that band will never make it. That's a horrible song."
They shouldn't have, in a way.
That's funny.
Couldn't have been more wrong.
One
And
Saturday
they
morning, my
went
wife
away.
and I were watching a CBS morning show, and they had this girl out in this field with this weird hat on, singing a song with an acoustic guitar, and it was so awful. I mean, bad. We looked at each other and we were like, "This girl
We'll never
one
make it.
and done."
Who was it?
Taylor Swift.
Ah!
It was Taylor Swift. I'll never forget that.
How
She
could we
didn't
be
do
so
much,
wrong?
really.
Yeah, she's not.
She kind of didn't make it.
Another band that influenced me was Resurrection Band.
Yes, man, I saw Res Band in Tulsa with you, too.
See, man, love it.
You know,
It's
there-
awesome to go with him because he's full, he's all in.
Well, there were a couple
We were all in.
annual festivals that were huge.
Cornerstone festivals.
I never got to
Cornerstone
go
and
to any.
Ichthus
Yes,
was another
Ithacus.
one. Ichthus and
Ithacus.
Cornerstone was huge in the
Ichthus.
'80s, man.
Ithacus?
Ithacus, I promise. That's what
Yeah.
it's called.
Ithacus.
Not
It
Ithacus,
is, right.
Ichthus.
Is
That's
it
what they
Greek
called
or
it.
Hebrew?
I used to get the Cornerstone magazine.
I think it was
Res
Latin.
Band and that whole movement in Illinois was so big. They were very influential. Very influential.
Yeah, it was big. Adam again.
Then we started a place called Joshua House. Jeff and I and
Then
who-
you took it. That was good, too. You
we
know who
had the very first people
very
that we
first
had
band.
there was a band called Jars of
Jars
Clay.
of Clay.
Little band called Jars of Clay.
$700 to get them here. $700. They played their first album
It was
that
good, too. It was a
absolutely
really good
blew
show.
up before they got super huge.
Yeah.
And I remember they sung a coffee song, and I took them up a
I
cup of
still
coffee in the
remember that.
middle of it,
You did.
and I took it up and
Because
said,
why wouldn't you?
"Why wouldn't I?"
It was
It was unbelievable. Before
And then-
they hit
and
it.
then-
one song.
And then they,
40
like
after
18 months later, they
40
wanted to come back,
days.
and you told me, and how much do they
It
want
was
then?
like $5,000 easy.
Yeah.
$5,000 easy. We had Sixpence None the Richer come
Sixpence None the Richer.
twice because the first time,
What's the song that she went on to do that got radio play?
Kiss Me
The
They
dun-
sang Kiss
moonlight
Me
shining.
here
Da-da-da.
in Joshua House before it hit the radio.
Ba-da-ba-da-bum.
Awesome. The 77s,
No, I loved them.
they were here. Gene Eugene, remember Gene Eugene?
Yeah, it's from Adam again, right?
Yeah, from Adam again. He was with them that night and played right there in Joshua House. And I remember another band we brought over. Jeff was already gone in New England by that time. And I was trying to keep it together, but I knew it wasn't going to go without him. I didn't want to do it without him. But one of the final bands that we had was a band called Gnashing of Teeth.
No way.
It was a Christian metal thrash band.
Perfect.
And they were going crazy. And your dad, Pops, because he would like to see what was going on, how we were leading people to the Lord, you know. And also we got this metal band, Gnashing of Teeth. I remember I introduced them, and it was
Is
crazy.
that a verse?
Yeah, dude, it was Gnashing of Teeth, and they came.
No, in the hell.
Weeping and that.
And the whole time, like,
And there was weeping.
and your dad, he walks in the side door. He walks in, looks, and walks back out. That's all he did. He didn't say he was in, out, done. And basically after that debacle, doors shut to Joshua House forever.
Oh,
But
were there people there?
Dude, it was packed.
Yeah?
It was packed. We had
That was that
posters
time.
made. We had big logos made. We had people coming from everywhere, man. It was awesome.
We were trying to be that place, like King's Place.
Yes.
Joshua's house. Was
And
there
we
other
were
places
doing
around
it.
here? We were doing it. You know who did it for a while too? That's where I saw Petra Servant. Joe English was up at the
the
Lutheran
Church. What
Yeah.
was that place called?
They had a name for it too.
They did. And we would go there and rip them off, too.
First, but gnashing of teeth.
That's awesome.
Well, that's the
Christian
80s.
Coffee House.
So we will come back
Yeah.
and do a part 3. We'll get into the 90s, look at Tyler's situation there. That's when, because when was that? That was 90s. We just got into the 90s,
We
didn't we?
just got in
Joshua's
basically
house there
creeping
in the
in there.
mid.
heading toward Tyler.
Right.
Heading toward Tyler now.
With that.
This is after the keep,
But
after
still, I
everything.
think we could all say that it had its positive influence on our lives.
It did. With that charismatic experience running in
With the
undercurrent
music,
the whole time.
Yeah, because
Thank you,
you
Phil.
wanted what was Christian at that time, and what was sacred versus secular. That was the battle.
Well, and there really was an absolute true power, like a Holy Spirit power that was involved. And
Absolutely.
It was undeniable. I mean, you
Absolutely.
couldn't- even as a kid, I remember,
I'm praying and longing for, because there's some. Who was I reading? There's some that need that tangible, that
Yeah,
won't come
to
otherwise.
believe, yeah.
That,
Well, I remember because you try to push back too. I know your story. You didn't want it.
Yeah.
You didn't want it. Your friends wanted to
what
come.
a time to be a rebel
Yeah, right.
in the height of, excuse me, the charismatic movement.
And I had a loved one. I won't embarrass their name, but they decided that they weren't going to be privy to this move that was happening, and so this speaker, Jim Spillman,
Yeah.
he was doing his thing. He called all the young people up there. So my loved one went up there with me, and there was this manifestations happening, and this moved the Holy Spirit, and people were falling out and all that kind of stuff. And before he started praying, said loved one just voluntarily hit the ground. And he spun around and pointed his finger at him and said, "Don't you monkey around with Jesus, Tarzan." And that's seared into my brain for the rest of my life.
That's sweet.
But it was because there was something there, and you can't deny it. And we sneak out the back of the
That's
tent
why
meetings
we're
and-
still.
Yes.
I think the seed of that is why I'm still here in the Lord.
It's a DNA thing.
Absolutely, big part of our lives.
Yeah, and that was the 80s.
Yeah, so
Glory to God.
we went through all the movements of the praise and worship movements of the 80s. We would do the one-step bunny hops and at Grace Fellowship in 1987. That was that. Before we go, I got to mention how influential Grace Fellowship and Vineyard
Yeah.
and Integrity Music, all of that was massive during this time.
And to take us out, who's going to do the dance?
I will.
You know what I'm talking about, the
Not me.
one
Do
up,
it,
the
Jeff,
one down.
do
I
it.
gotta get a water.
Is he doing it?
I don't think he's going to.
Just do it?
It's all up to you, Darren.
Never.
It's throw one leg out, one leg back. There it is. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's it.
It's a real move if you got a whole place doing that. whole place. 1,000 people doing that. What you just did, 1,000 people doing that right there. Yeah.
They would record a whole praise and worship album.
It was this the whole time. Praise and worship was that the whole time.
And that was
No,
the whole
no, no.
vision.
Right.
That was what was happening at the time, and we were right in the middle of it. And that's a real
Awesome.
blessing. Anyway,
Amen. Well, love you guys. Here we go. We got another generation here.
Thanks for having me,
We sure do.
by the way. That was fun, memory lane.